expect the forgotten misfits of the market to outperform the very crowded leaders. And I think this rotation has been happening. I think it's going to be much harder to make money in AI infrastructure names that dominated during the LLM period. And people need to start shifting their attention towards the VLM period, the visual language models.
Any new thoughts on Bitcoin, concerns or things that you're excited about?
Yeah. So let me do this in my Annie Duke style for people. And again, it's the holiday season. I haven't spoken to Annie Duke in a couple of years. I think she's awesome. And I think her book, Thinking in Bets, is a great preparation for AI, along with Make Your Bed by Admiral McCraven. I think those two holiday books for your kids, even if they don't read them, I will be telling people how these fit into being able to benefit from AI. There's three components of Bitcoin that I've kind of put my side on. When is this going to go back up? Because the one thing I believe in is that it's going higher. The question and the point you made, what's the probability? What would have to happen for it to sell off past 80,000 and down to 60? Well, number one, the chart is horrible. Okay, there is no way. I've said repeatedly, I'll keep saying it, until you close 3 days in a row above 92,000, I think the downtrend is in place, and you have to be very careful that it could extend further than what you believe. What would make it extend? Well, the equity market needs to get worse. I don't think that's going to happen, but like I said, there is a risk to me that growth is going to underperform value. If that happens, which I don't think the market's going to go down, because when you have PMIs going higher, the big risk is that rate hike fears start to enter the market. Like I said, we have disinflation at this point. This looks like the beginning of a reflation stage, which is very good for markets generally. So I think it's a good year for stocks. But if for some reason the rotation dropped down the hyperscalers, because in the next earning reports, they actually show some risk, Bitcoin could sell off. I don't think that's going to happen. And on a probabilistic basis, a move down below 80 for any significant amount of time to me is a low probability event. The technical side is still bearish. The good side for me, again, I wrote the paper about a silent IPO. I still believe that's going on. I get multiple, and I'm sure you do too. Novogratz spoke on something this week, and I like listening to Mike because he has a lot of insight on what's happening because he controls a lot of the flow. And he said 30% or approximately 20 to 30% of all market makers went out of business from that fall off in October. Whether or not the number is right or not, I'm just going to take Mike for his word and just say the event of October was a big deal. And now we have no retail buying because the chart's horrible. And until the chart's positive, macro funds that trade it and retail is not going to be involved. So you need that to turn positive. That's the 92,000 thing. And that number matters more than just the technical thing. It's also unchanged for the year. So I think once we get back above it, I think it's an important thing. But I really do believe that the catalyst that's going to take this up, Bill Gurley said, there are no dollars for anything on the VC world except AI. That has hurt Bitcoin this year because not getting dollars mean people don't view it as a growth trade. They don't view it as something the way they did. The last time we had a SaaS move, crypto was a major part of it. Crypto isn't getting money because it's all being sucked out by AI. I think that starts to change this year.
What is the opposite case? What do you think? You mentioned possibly raising of rates rather than dropping of rates, or just like walk me through maybe how you are positioning mentally for 2026 and like what your expectations are.
Okay, so everything that you mentioned, I would say at this point is now becoming consensus. Mm-hmm. Okay, there's nothing within there. I think 3 months ago it would have been a different story, but now as we're going into the end of the year and people are forced to make decisions, we've seen a rotation in the market that started in June. And it's kind of accelerated, and that's been out of growth and into more value-related things. It's been out of momentum. It's been into small caps, out of large caps. Those are traditionally kind of the rotations that happen when PMIs start to go higher, which I've talked about, and it hasn't started yet, but I think it's not only going to start next year, but I think it's going to keep going. So the question of what do I expect? I expect the forgotten misfits of the market to outperform the very crowded leaders. And I think this rotation has been happening. I think it's going to be much harder to make money in AI infrastructure names that dominated during the LLM period. And people need to start shifting their attention towards the VLM period, the visual language models. Tesla, hated by most people. I think it's going to be the best performing Mag 7 stock. I still think NVIDIA will do great. I think Apple will do great. Those are all because those are going to start benefiting from brains and machines. NVIDIA will just keep doing well because people are actually bearish it and going through it. I don't like the hyperscalers and anything built on code next year as like a general theme. Now, here are the risks. If I had to pick two things that could be the thing to cause a 20% correction, which I think has a reasonable probability of occurring next year, it would be, first of all, the rotation that's happening. If I'm right and PMIs are heading up towards 60, this would be the first. And I want to make sure people understand this because whenever I say PMIs, people kind of glaze over. We haven't had a build out on the manufacturing side since 2003 to 2007 that's been synchronized around the globe and has been driven by multiple things happening at the same time. We've had inventory rebuilds where, because people got really scared, they stopped buying things thinking a recession was coming. Think about the European situation when we thought Brexit, where we thought Greece and everybody was going under. Take the oil situation in 2015, 2016. Take COVID. In all of those cases, we stopped buying things for a period of time. It was like a mini recession. And then we got this rebuild, which was only to rebuild inventories where it petered out. But we haven't seen anything that has been on a big scale. We're going to have the data center build out. But now we're going to get into the agentic world. Now we're going to get into the embodied AI world. People need to start understanding what this means. We're going to have a synchronized upgrade for computers, for phones, for autos. We're going to continue to have the data center build out. We're going to need to build nuclear plants. We're going to need to go out and mine for material. This is going to be a PMI going higher. We'll keep saying that. But the risk is, if the Mag 7 or the Mag 4 that I'm saying, if the hyperscalers don't do well and they just kind of go sideways this year, alpha still needs to be created in hedge funds and passive investment. Everyone's going to start rotating into what's working. That could become very disruptive because it could leave people in a position where they need to buy illiquid things and get out of liquid things. Very easy to get out of the liquid things. We've seen how Bitcoin, you can get out of that if you want, no problem. But we haven't seen, when people want to go buy small caps, what that actually does. So I think when PMIs are actually going this way, it could be a negative. The second thing, and this just gets back into it, I don't think it's going to be an AI bubble thing. In fact, that's another consensus for the people on the negative side. I guess if I was going to pick something and go through, it's the bottleneck side, that the bottlenecks from the power get worse and that the GDP doesn't actually come through because we're at a standstill with rolling out Blackwell and getting these data centers up and running. I don't think that's going to happen, but that would be another thing. Both scenarios hit the hyperscalers relative to the other names. And that's why I think growth is going to underperform value and size is going to be shifting too.
And so my takeaway was actually the mob cared more about the message than the AI stuff already. We're only in 2025, right? It's not like we're in like 2035 and it's been going on for a decade, whatever. And so it does feel like, to your point, yes, there's probably this emotional connection, but I do sense we're already to a point where people are used to the AI content. Mm-hmm. And I love Cathie Wood to death. They got her this week. They got her with the AI slop.
Yep.
It was a video, or it was a photo of a man with his like orphan daughter, and it had some, emotional message. Yep. And Cathie retweeted and was like, happy birthday. That's why Cathie's Cathie, and emotionally there and positive message, etc. But it was an AI photo. And so you start to look at this and you say, man, this is happening way faster than people were expecting. Like, remember 3 years ago when everyone was like, it was very easy to tell AI?
Yep.
I don't know, man.
So let me give you my take on this, because as
Jordy's like, yeah, the photo got me too.
No, here's the funny thing. So there's two things about me that maybe we've never discussed here, but so I don't like short snippets of things. They don't like, I like a story. So I'm not attracted to like boom, 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 boom.
You're not into the TikTok videos?
No, I honestly, as someone who loves technology, I remember the first time I went to TikTok, I can't do this. Like, it's just not the way my brain works. Mm. I actually like to think about things and I like to connect them. I need the time to connect dots on things. So the Picasso thing that I mentioned, this realism cube, that comes from Bill Gurley. If you listen to the podcast, you will listen to the way my brain works. Mm. I hear him say something, I'm like, that's really interesting. I didn't know he was a realist before he became a cubist, an abstract. I immediately leave the subway on the way here and I write a paper. I literally write a paper. So it's going to go up on Substack probably today. I wrote that in there all about connecting dots between a bunch of different things. I need to get some depth from something. So this is probably the reason why I hated school, because honestly, there's not a lot of depth in school. It's not connecting dots laterally. It's literally just shoving something down your throat. It's the reason why I hate Malcolm Gladwell books. No offense to Malcolm Gladwell. He's been very successful. How many times do I have to have beaten over my head 10,000 hours? You become a master at something. I didn't need to read that book for the 300 pages. I left it on a plane because I was bored very quickly going, why the hell do we got to keep doing this? Second thing about me.
Jordi left it on a plane.
I literally could not believe it. So the second thing about me, my parents got divorced when I was a junior in high school. They probably should have got divorced earlier. But here's the thing. It caused this side of me of not to trust people as much. So if I get something on X, I assume it's not real or the people don't mean what they're saying. So if you lead with that, and everyone can gauge on a scale of 1 to 10 how much they trust, I lead with I don't trust. You got to prove to me that like you're trustworthy.